All right, let's take a look at what Ben Shabibo is saying.
Are you voting based on Joe Biden or are you voting based on Donald Trump? Well, we're in it now. So President Trump announced last night, as predicted, that he was going to run for president of the United States. Now, he had predicted it would be the most important speech in American history. It wasn't, but it is important. I mean, when the former president of the United States announces a new presidential campaign, his third presidential campaign, that is a rather large announcement. The timing of it is really curious. It's strategically strange. Let's put it that way. Because if you are Donald Trump, what you really want to do is clear the field, right? But if you do it too early, and there are more than 700 days until the next election, this gives people a lot of time to get very tired. And this is the real enemy for Trump. The real enemy for Trump.
Why? He's goated. The field, he will fucking annihilate the field. That's when he's best.
Is that people become exhausted. This has always been the big problem for Trump.
I don't know if Ben recognizes, but he was president for 4 years.
In 2016, people were not exhausted. It was a great act. In 2017, people were like, okay, well, he's president. This is kind of fascinating. In 2018, didn't work out well in Congress, but his administration was doing a bunch of really, really good stuff. People were like, okay, I'll give him credit for that. And sure, there's some bad tweets. And,
like what?
And yeah, the media hate his guts. So I'll give him more of a chance. And then 2019, more of that. And then 2020, in the pandemic, I think people got exhausted with Trump. And that is one of the rationales for why he didn't do as well in the election as he should have. And that's why he did not win when running against a person who was actually comatose. Because Joe Biden was more tired than Trump, but he was less tiring than Trump for a lot of Americans. In 2020, Donald Trump exhausted a lot of people because he was on the TV every day talking about COVID, because he seemed to be sort of all over the place in his approach to that, because every day was just revolving around him. And so the election was a referendum on him. And meanwhile, Joe Biden went back to his coffin in the evenings and during most of the day, and he just slept there. And every so often they would take him out and they would spoon feed him some oatmeal just to give him the nutrients. And then they would trot him out like directly outside of his house in Delaware. They would train a camera on him and he would go,
I'm not going to lie. This is low-key kind of true. Like, he ain't wrong. This might be the first time this motherfucker's like had a sequence of words that he put together that's like kind of correct.
And democracy. And then the media would cheer. And then he'd go back down into the basement. And so he wasn't exhausting in the same way that Trump was. So the problem for Trump has always been Trump. I mean, the draw of Trump is Trump. And the problem for Trump is Trump. It's nobody else. And the obstacles that Donald Trump makes for himself are the biggest obstacles that he faces, not the obstacles made by other candidates about him. Hillary Clinton tried to make him the object of ire in 2016, and it failed. Donald Trump made himself the object of ire in 2020, and it succeeded. Well, the problem is that if you launch this quickly, I mean, this is unprecedented. I'm not aware of any other presidential campaign, certainly not by a major figure like the former president of the United States, launched about a week after the midterm elections. This is super early. And it's a weird strategy, because if you really are that intimidating, why don't you slow play this thing? If you really believe that simply having your name out there is going to prevent people from jumping in, which, by the way, it might, then why would you launch this quickly? What it sort of betrays is that Trump, his campaign, is very concerned with the possibility of other people getting in. If you watch his Truth Social feed, you see a lot of this, right? Donald Trump is attacking candidates who have not yet announced and may never announce. I'm not aware that Glenn Youngkin is going to run for.
He skipped 2018 because that doesn't benefit the narrative that he's putting out there. He's trying to make Trump look bad. In 2018, 2018 overall is like, yeah, sure, Democrats won, but it wasn't the absolute worst. Like, it wasn't a fucking full wash.
For president of the United States. I'm not sure what Glenn Youngkin's support base would be. He's a very moderate Republican in Virginia. Ron DeSantis, a bit of a different story. And a lot of speculation that he's going to run specifically because he's termed out, right? Glenn Youngkin is in his first term. Ron DeSantis is in his second term. So that means that no matter what, he's leaving.
Wait, what? Why are people saying bro think he XQC? Or XU Are you guys talking about? Are you guys talking about Ben Shapiro? Wait, why? Because he's... That's the funniest criticism I've ever heard. Why give attention to it? No, because it's such a funny fucking take to say Ben Shapiro wannabe XQC so bad. I love that.
Leaving office in 2026 as governor of Florida. So if he's going to go, he sort of has to go. But he's not jumping in right now. And so the question, if you are Donald Trump, is if I jump in yesterday, November 15th, 2022, and Ron DeSantis doesn't jump in until after the end of the first legislative session, meaning in like June of 2023, that gives you, by my count, and I'm no expert, but I know how a calendar works, that gives you 8 months to simply be out there saying things. And that's very tiring. It means you're the only person at issue. I mean, if Ron DeSantis just goes about governing and doesn't pay any attention to the stuff that you're saying, and you're spending every day on Truth Social ripping into it.
I don't know, man. Trump is popular when he's on camera. He's unpopular when he's not. That's all I've seen so far. Trump not on Twitter, not on camera all the time, losing popularity. Trump on camera all the time, constantly captivating people. Pretty good for him.
Is that good strategy? And do you really think that Trump has the discipline not to do that? Now, if Trump spends the next 8 months ripping into Biden, then that would be a durable campaign. But do you think he's going to do that? Or do you think that he's going to be so irritated with the fact that other people are very likely to jump in halfway through next year that he's going to preemptively try to launch strikes against them? And they're meanwhile just going to be going about their business and governing and doing their stuff. Trump runs the real danger of looking petty. The first real damage that Trump has done himself in terms of his 2024.
What? Trump has always been petty. The entire point is his pettiness is seen as authenticity. He also has a very good method of like turning his petty grievances and making them seem like they're systemic problems directed at the white conservative base of support. The issue is the January 6th rioters are freaks. They were too much heart of the MAGA type people. So a lot of the conservatives that otherwise were like, you're right, liberal elitists are fucking shitty. They do look down at us or whatever. And I hate that. Could not identify themselves, the moderates, I mean, the moderate suburbans, could not identify themselves with like the freaks that were disgusting and dirty and sweaty and greasy at January 6th, storming the fucking halls, looking for Nancy Pelosi. That's the problem. Pettiness has always been a very good weapon for him. The issue is he tried to do that with January 6th, and it didn't really work. A lot of the moderates were like, yeah, no, those guys are gross. Like, I don't want to be associated with that. Now that I live in LA, I think I need to end my sub. It's time to move on. Nick, you moved to LA? Get ready for the crime, brother.
Or presidential campaign, aside from all the January 6th stuff, aside from sort of the oddities of what he says on Truth Social, the really big damage that he did to himself over the course of the last several months, besides picking not great candidates and not spending money on those candidates, was really over the last week when he decided that just before the election, he was going to attack DeSantis. And then after the election, he decided he was going to attack DeSantis and Youngkin. And Republicans looked at him and they said, wait, dude, who are you attacking? What are you doing? We'll get to more of this in just 1 second. First, inflation continues to plague our economy. The Daily Wire reports that in less than 2 years, inflation...
What is this? No!
But you have to submit your claim by Black Friday. With almost...
He's making a hashtag ad for buying gold? Dude, that's awesome. God, these people are so fucking dumb. I love that.
And presumably, he would wait to see the flop. And he'd wait to see some other cards on the table because he could afford to. He could take his time. He could see what the political circumstances are like in 6 months. What this feels like is Donald Trump is trying to buy the pot with a pair of sixes. And basically, you got a pair of sixes. Not amazing, like a small pocket pair. And he's scared of the flop because on the flop, you could get a 7 and somebody else could have 2 sevens. Or on the flop could be a king and somebody else just has 1 king. And so what he's going to do right now is try to buy the pot by going all in with a pair of sixes. We're going to buy the pot. We're going to buy the blinds. We're going to knock everybody out of the game. I don't think that strategically speaking, it's going to work, but it's an interesting strategy. It's certainly never been tried before. And there's a lot of time before the 2024 elections. I mean, the first primaries don't even happen until early 2024. We're talking about 14 months until the January primaries, the Iowa caucuses in 2024. So this is super early as a strategic matter. Okay, so then Trump decided that he was going to launch this thing at Mar-a-Lago, which again is an interesting move. It's not a pizzazz move. You remember that when he originally launched in 2015, it was a fascinating thing, right? He launched in June of 2015, by the way, right, which is a lot later. That would be like launching in June of 2023, which he's not. He's launching way earlier. And he launched with a 47-minute speech. And it was fascinating because it was all new. Trump's speech last night was very long, like extremely long, like so long that Fox News actually cut out of it about halfway through. Because the speech went, I believe, 64 minutes, which is by any standard a very, very long speech. And it read, in some ways, almost like a State of the Union address. It had its high
What the fuck's going on? Anne? Uh-oh. I'm going through a... Hold on. It's coming in and out. It's coming in and out. I don't know what's happening. The bit rate on my end looks stable. Okay, we're back. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. It's going to be fine. We're back. Boys, girls, MBs, we're back. I'm going to run this back from this part.
launching in June of 2023, which he's not. He's launching way earlier. And he launched with a 47-minute speech. And it was fascinating because it was all new. Trump's speech last night was very long, like extremely long, like so long that Fox News actually cut out of it about halfway through. Because the speech went, I believe, 64 minutes, which is by any standard a very, very long speech. And it read, in some ways, almost like a State of the Union address. It had its high points, it had its low points. We're going to go through what the president said in relaunching his 2024 campaign. But the optics of it were a little bit strange, mainly because when he did it in 2015 and there was no base of support, and he came down the escalator, and it was like, wow, I can't tell whether this is cheesy or whether this is brilliant. It turns out that it was quite brilliant optically. Doing it at Mar-a-Lago looks like he's sort of holed up in his house, right? I mean, that's where he lives. It's sort of like me going to my living room to announce that I'm running for president of the United States. Mar-a-Lago, everybody knows that's Trump's area. If you were going to launch a popular movement, what you'd really want to do is do like a giant rally, right? You announce this in advance, like I'm going to announce, and we're not going to have 1,000 people in the room. We're going to have 20,000 people in the room, right? We're going to show the power of the Trump train. This train is going. It has no brakes, as they say. And we have 20, 30,000, like we'll fill a stadium with people who love Donald Trump. And it'll scare the living bejesus out of everybody because we'll be out there with a giant crowd. Instead, he launched it at Mar-a-Lago, essentially in his backyard, in a ballroom with like 1,000 people, all of whom were sort of handpicked friends, including people like Roger Stone, which, again, if you're going to have your campaign supporters, you probably should not try to stack people who are actually have been indicted for crimes, like as a general matter. You actually want kind of the best and the brightest.
What?
Roger Stone is not the best and the brightest when it comes to like.
Dog, fuck you mean? Okay, Trump, like. If Trump doesn't have criminals in his circle, he has nothing. The fuck are you talking about? Who's he going to have in the room then? Nobody?
Like the people you want in your front row. So there's some optical issues here too. And what it really speaks to is that I got to say, just as an optical matter, this did not feel like it had the same sort of extraordinary impact as it did when Trump ran in 2015. When Trump ran in 2015, it was like a bomb went off. Like this was wild. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Trump's been president. And so your campaign as a former president versus your campaign as a real estate guru who's very famous for being on The Apprentice in 2015, that's a totally different thing. And if you're running a very similar campaign to 2015 in 2022 or 2023, it doesn't feel the same. Right? He has the gravitas of having been president behind him. which means he should be doing the Obama thing, right? When Obama ran for re-election in 2012, he was doing it in like giant stadiums, Greek pantheon kind of stuff, fog machines, right? That's what Trump really should have done last night in re-announcing that he was launching. Instead, he did it.
Bro, he's acting like Trump hasn't already been doing fat fucking rallies. Like, this optics shit is so stupid. Ben's criticizing Trump like a fucking liberal, dude. Like, there's no analysis here. He's just like, oh man, Roger Stone was in the room. It's like, bro, Roger Stone was in every room. The fuck are you talking about? Like that. You avoided that shit all the fucking time in the past. You never wanted to talk about it when he was winning. But now that you hate him, you're like, oh man, Roger Stone is fucked up. It's like, shut up. Just like you try to avoid the top of the hour ad break. Like, don't fucking complain about it, you know? Because at the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free. Stop complaining and just subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, or get gifted a sub. Get lucky. You know what I mean? Here's the 1 minute ad break now. He's like complaining that there's no fucking fog machines. Like, shut up, dude.
In what felt
Ben wants to be XQC so bad. You're not him, bro. You're not him, little bro. Eternal O2, thank you for the 10 gifted subs.
like sort of the safest and most cautious way. And he read from a teleprompter, which of course you would imagine he should do. And it gave everybody who's a big Trump fan the opportunity to say, this is the moment Trump finally became president. Listen, when he was president, I thought the best Trump was teleprompter Trump. Whenever Trump was reading off the teleprompter, I was like, oh, thank God, he's going to say a bunch of useful things. And then when you get off teleprompter, be like, uh-oh, where is this going? I have no idea. Trump got off teleprompter a few times last night, and it was mostly funny. But it didn't feel like top-tier Trump. It just didn't. His energy level was fairly low last night.
Subs.
He was not out there kind of roaring and growling the way that he typically does. Now, does this mean that he can't win the Of course not. It's just a launch speech. We have a long way to go, and that's the whole point. I think people who are jumping to, he's in, that means he's the nominee, which means he will be the president. That is a lot of steps between here and there, my friends. That's a lot of steps. He's jumping in November. There will be other people who jump in.
Bye-bye. Does
he have the upper hand? Of course. He has 30% of the base that loves the guy and will walk through fire for him. That gives you a really strong base. And in a divided primary, that could be well enough to just walk right through. That's exactly what happened in 2016. In the 2016 campaign, it wasn't like Trump was walking away with 70% of the vote. He wasn't. He was winning the early primaries with 25, 30% of the vote. It was only at the very end, when the field had basically winnowed down to 2, that he started winning 50% of the vote. But that's enough. Doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win. So Trump does have a solid percentage of the base locked up, for sure. But that doesn't mean there won't be other candidates. There will be other candidates. It's very early. And then if he gets the nomination, number one, we don't know whether Biden's even going to be alive by that point. But number two, even if Biden is alive, it's not clear where the economy is going to be.
I wish Tucker Carlson would say some of these truths as well, since they have a bigger audience, but I know they won't. First of all, Tucker Carlson would never say that. Secondly, understand that Ben Shapiro is not speaking truths here. He's actually just making good anti-Trump propaganda to lead you into believing that, because there is some truths in what he's saying, but he's making anti-Trump propaganda that's like leading you to believe that he's right. Like, the idea that Trump can't fucking lock up arenas is silly. Out of any political candidate out there right now, Trump still is number one in locking up arenas. Straight up. Will they cuck Trump like they did Sanders? No, dude. Donald Trump maintains a larger percentage of like actual Republican votes than Bernie ever did. Bernie in 2016 was an anti-Hillary vote. Let's be real. Make no mistake. It was a perfect opportunity for democratic socialism to be mainstreamed a little bit, an idea that people would welcome a little bit, and that was great for the momentum of the left. But in a country as reactionary as the United States of America, like, most of Bernie Sanders' popularity also came from the fact that he was anti-Hillary. The worst thing that the Democratic Party could have done is put someone like Hillary Clinton up against Donald Trump and also against Bernie Sanders. But it did work in our favor. When Bernie was put up against someone who the media largely were able to sell as like the only guy to beat Donald Trump, look at what happened. Biden didn't even step foot in half of the Super Tuesdays. Biden didn't even step foot in half of the Super Tuesday states that he won. Okay? He didn't even have offices. He got billions of free native ads from the media after his predicted South Carolina victory. Bernie also had a huge spoiler. The neoliberals worked alongside Biden, whereas Warren also worked alongside Biden. Dumbass. Anyway. These are important reasons.
One thing that is clear about Donald Trump as a candidate, one, he's extremely volatile. We all know this. We can keep kind of breezing past this, but it happens to be the chief characteristic of the man is that he's extraordinarily volatile, which means he's unpredictable. That has its benefits. It also has its major and severe drawbacks in a campaign, as we saw in 2020. In 2016, it had great benefits. He would say stuff nobody else would say. In 2020, it had severe drawbacks. He would say stuff nobody else would say as president. It also shifts the focus back to Trump. Because if every election is a question as to who the referendum is on, right? Who are the people actually voting for or against? They don't vote for two candidates.
I know the audio and video is not synced up. There's nothing I can do about it.
So they vote against one. So the question in 2024 will be, are you voting based on Joe Biden or are you voting based on Donald Trump? Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the media's attacks on Trump and what they are hoping to accomplish. Plus, Matt Walsh stops by to talk about his marriage conversation with Joe Rogan. If you're not a member, click the link.
I can't wait for this video, which was not here, but we're going to talk about that right now. Benihana and Matt Walsh got together and talked about marriage. And you know that conversation was going to be insane. Now, the Protect Same-Sex and Interracial Marriage Act is being voted on in the Senate. Of course, Republicans are, they have enough votes, but a lot of Republicans have voted no because they're fucking racist and homophobic and they're psychotic. Ben, on the other hand, had this brilliant take. Ben literally has personally stated over and over again that, one of Trump's issues is that, he's hitting the culture war, but he's not, he's a little too crazy. He's too much of a freak. Ben also simultaneously had this to say.
But put aside the rule of construction, the thing that's really amazing to me is that it is now apparently the law of the land and societal rule that the only rationale that you would possibly have for saying that a marriage is between a man and a woman is because you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. That's really the only reason at all. That the only reason will allow you to have these crazy beliefs so long as you can show that they're crazy beliefs. So long as you can show that the reason that you believe that marriage is between a man and a woman is because you read it in a book and because you really believe the book. They keep saying sincere religious belief. I don't even know how you measure sincere religious belief. Are we going to now monitor how often you go to church or to synagogue, whether you keep kosher or whether you take communion in order to determine you're sincere? The same media that declares that Nancy Pelosi is a sincere religious believer who's just for the mass abortion of unborn.
This one is so stupid. Brother, this is a losing argument. I do not know why you think this is a winning argument. It's over. You lost the war. You got too comfortable with the transphobic rhetoric that you literally think that this is an argument that you can make. It's not. Most people will look to this and go, dude, you're crazy. You're crazy. The suburban whites that we were talking about look to this and go, no shot. There's a gay fella that works at my coffee shop. He's a great worker. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Yeah, sure. Maybe in the fucking pits of Alabama. Okay. You got some people who are on board with this position. But you are out of your fucking mind if you think that this is a good national campaign to be this openly homophobic. This ain't 2008. Okay? It wasn't 2008 even in 2008 if we think about it really, but No fucking shot. Now here's the other thing. Ben's already off the mark on this, on the gay marriage thing. But one interesting thing I have noticed is what Ben is doing strategically. He's not selling this as a religious argument any longer. He's trying to sell this as a rational argument, a logical argument. This was a relatively successful propaganda operation as it pertains to abortions. Ben, perhaps because he is an Orthodox Jew, which makes no mention of abortion and actually sanctions abortion, or because he saw the writing on the wall that like America is becoming less and less religious year over year, never made the argument on abortion on religious grounds. Even though the idea that a fertilized egg is a real life begins at conception, is a religious argument. There is no scientific argument around life beginning at conception. But Ben never said that that was a religious argument. Ben always said abortion is a life. A fetus is a baby. The fetus is a baby. You're killing a baby. You're killing a baby. He never said who is saying that the fetus is a baby. He just always said you're taking away lives, right? Because Americans are not as religious year over year. They are less and less religious. Less church attendances, less religious overall. So Ben was able to strategically try to reach the broadest audience possible, and I think made successfully some arguments that even non-religious people or people that aren't that religious believed in with respect to abortion. Now, obviously, ultimately at the federal level, regardless of whether you believe abortion is murder or not, it's obvious that 75% of Americans believe that the mother, the carrier, is more important than this fucking fetus, right? Now he's trying to do that for gay marriage, which once again is fucking idiotic and will be even less fruitful than the abortion one.
Children, a little clear that you, Matt Walsh, are not actively in favor of the things that you're in favor of. You're just a religious bigot. You're a bigot, right? And your religion is a cover for your bigotry. I'm highly annoyed by the constant derogation of non-religious arguments into religious arguments. And this is what the left loves to do. They like to say you're pro-life. The reason you're pro-life is because of your crazy religion. And so maybe we can respect your crazy religion along those. That is not the argument for marriage. The argument for marriage has literally nothing to do with religion. You could be a visitor from Mars, and you could see that all of human procreation relies on man, woman, child. This is not particularly difficult stuff. By essentially boxing in the argument in favor of traditional marriage into, well, if you're a crazy religious believer, maybe we'll let you have that. But if you're a cake baker, then we're not sure about that, right? I mean, like, we're not sure how.
He's trying to say, if Martians came down to Earth, they would realize that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Which is really stupid, because if you try to make the nature argument, as I correctly pointed out, there are gay-ass animals here on fucking Earth, dog. The fuck do you mean? Aliens would probably be gay as fuck, too. Like, there's no concept of sexuality in fucking aliens, idiot.
Allow you to.
But, like, Ben, have you never seen an animal? I love the fucking nature, the appeal to nature fallacy, because it's not only a fallacy because we are human beings and like a fundamental part of our existence is overcoming nature. It's not like fucking skyscrapers are in nature, you know? We built that shit, dumbass. Shut the fuck up. Okay? But also, have you never seen like a male dog hump another male dog? Like, have you never been around animals? Did you not learn about the animal kingdom? What a fucking psychotic take.
Marriage and traditional marriage are completely the same thing. And if you object to it, the only reason that we'll even allow you to do that is because of this crazy thing called religion.
The appealing the nature fallacy is a super common one that like these Christian objectivists or Judeo-Christian objectivists always fucking love to talk about, when in fact like MPreg exists within the animal kingdom. MPreg, okay? I will repeat. MPreg exists in the animal kingdom, okay? Get the fuck out of here, dog. Another brilliant take, though, from the brilliant conservative, you know? He's so smart. I'm going to skip the Idaho one. We're going to move on to more anti-gay shit, I guess.
You've already started to see the press rollout for Disney's Strange World, right? That's going to come out next week, just in advance of Thanksgiving. Presumably it'll do big box office because parents won't know what to do with their kids over the Thanksgiving Day weekend. So here is your warning. If you're a parent and you do not wish your kids to see a gay teen romance, don't take your kids to see Strange World. Your choice, your kids. I'm just giving you the heads up. Disney has said that they have a not at all secret gay agenda. They said this publicly, openly, in giant meetings. The heads of Disney talked about their trans kid and their non-gender binary kids and how everybody, your kids, need to be educated in the ways of this sort of.
Man, thank God. Ben's back to the important issues that are that every American has to think about now. Is Disney transing my children? Disney's queer agenda. Oh my God. Thank God, dude. The election is over. Now we can get back to the real shit. Bro, I fucking hate these people, man. That's weird, dog. That you're a weirdo. You're such a fucking weirdo. Why are you so weird?
Subjective, individualist sexual culture. It's very important that your kids be indoctrinated into this. Well, we already had Lightyear, which was a dramatic fail at the box office, featuring a lesbian couple targeted at 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. And now Strange World, which is targeted at 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, features a gay teen romance. Isn't this exciting stuff? Because this is what America is truly.
It's so lovely. Okay. If you look at like a teenage romance, if you look at a Disney movie where there is like a 5-second blip of like a lesbian couple, and you go, I'm getting fucking horned up by this. This is a lesbian couple. It means I'm thinking they're having lesbian sex. You're a fucking psycho. You need to be lobotomized if that's the way you operate. Okay? Like, who the fuck operates this way? When I am walking down the fucking... Oh, shit. Ah! No! Fuck, sorry. When I'm walking down the street and I see a straight couple holding hands, I don't immediately think, oh man, I'm thinking about them bumping uglies, dude. I'm thinking about how they're breeding. They're going to go back home and breed tonight. They're going to be breeding so fucking hard, dude. That's insane. That is an insane way to operate. And you never think that way about straight relationships that are being presented in movies either. That argument is reserved exclusively for non-heteronormative relationships.
Truly, the value that I think stands for all of us is gay teen romance for small children. The New York Daily News reported this all the way back in June. Quote, Disney's upcoming adventure film Strange World will feature a gay teen romance, the first in an animated feature produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios. Again, the idea here is that Walt Disney has to please its animation employees. This isn't about pleasing the audiences. Where was the broad parental demand for a gay teen romance for kids? Was that something that parents were clamoring for? Oh, man,
I mean, Disney's gay as fuck, so shut the fuck up. Disney has always been and always continue to be a little fruity. Okay? That's it. I mean, that's it. That's the truth. Why are we acting like that's not the case? You got fucking Ursula, like literally a drag queen, man. There's like a prominent villain. Have you ever seen a Disney villain? Have you ever seen a Disney movie? Every single villain is camp as fuck. Some of these motherfucking Disney villains literally would not be able to make it in RuPaul's Drag Race. They'd be like, no, honey, that's a little too far. You're going too far. That's insane. This notion that like Disney is who is Disney appealing to with like gay characters is like, bro, Disney, okay? Disney consumers.
Definitely need to show my 7-year-old two teenage boys wanting to mac on each other. That's definitely, I think, something that 5-year-olds need. Like, who's that crowd precisely? Where was the market demanding this sort of stuff? The film, which is scheduled to open next week, will follow 3 generations of a family of explorers and take viewers to a place of infinite mystery, unlike anything you've ever seen. Well, that's a weird promise. Several Hollywood powerhouses have been confirmed as part of the voice cast, including Jake Gyllenhaal, Gabrielle Union, Lucy Liu Dennis Quaid, and Jabuki Young White. One of the sequences that Disney filmed months ago shows Ethan, who's a 16-year-old, flirting with a boy named Diazo in front of his friends, who tease him in a friendly way. His father, Searcher Clade, who is Jake Gyllenhaal, later joins in and embarrasses him in an overeager show of acceptance. It's beautiful, guys. Emmy Award-winning producer Matthew Shigeshi, who saw the sequence, wrote on Twitter the scene is very endearing and it's treated as the most natural thing in the world. The scene describes the son being very shy in front of his boy crush, and his dad comes in and says, "So nice to meet you. My son talks about you all the time," and further embarrasses his son. Very cute. Very cute indeed. If this is the sort of stuff that you wish to teach to your kids, which is the idea that all sexual relationships are of the same moral stature, that all human relationships are equivalent in every available way, and that sexuality is entirely biological, except when it's not biological at all and is fluid. So if you wish to teach your kids that, by all means, take them to see Strange World. And if maybe you don't want to indoctrinate your kids in this crap, perhaps you should stop giving your money to Disney+. One of the reasons that we here at DW Plus have decided to dedicate $100 million to children's programming over the next couple of years is because we would like to provide a safe space for our kids. I got to tell you, it is very difficult being a parent these days and trying to keep your kids learning about traditional values in a world that attempts to foist on them at literally every turn that traditional values are evil and terrible and bigoted. It's very difficult. When people give books to my kids, I have to read the books first before I screen the books for my kids. Now you can hear the hue and cry from the left as Media Matters clips this. Oh my gosh, he screens books. Yes, because I am a good parent. This is what good parents do. I wouldn't let my kids read horror books, and I wouldn't let my kids read books about the...
He wouldn't let his kids read horror books, and he wouldn't let his kids read fucking books where it has gay characters because that's horrifying. There is no argument you can make about this being a bad thing. If you think that this is like, if you think that this Disney movie is like sexualized immediately, you're a freak. Okay? You're a freak fuck. You are a weirdo. You're thinking about weird shit. Okay? It's not smut. And you're a psycho for turning it sexual. It's very weird. And you need to adequately address that. When people in your lives come to you and say, oh, it's a Disney movie, you just tell them, 1, Disney has always been gay as shit. And 2, you're not sexualizing teenage boys at all. Just like when you have a normal romance in any other fucking Disney movie, that itself is not inherently sexualized. Straight couples are never seen, normal, like normalized, okay? Heteronormative. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I'm a foe. I'm an LGBTQ foe. You know this. Shut up. Heteronormative relationships in Disney movies are considered, or heteronormative relationships in like children-facing works of art is considered normal. No one ever says, oh, they're fucking. That's really messed up. Science disproves your point. What point? What? All the straight relationships in Disney are pedophilic, so I'm glad it's just 2 teens this time. What? Dude. What? Why do I have so many fucking weirdos in here?
Innate moral value of every sexual relationship. That's not something I want my kids believing because I don't think it's true. I think it cuts against basic human institutions. I think it cuts against the future of their happiness. I think it cuts in favor of confusion and depression and suicidal ideation. I think
That's true. All the Disney princes are like 15. Yeah, but like the princes are not 30. What the fuck? The princes are also like 16, 17. No, that's what I thought it was like. What are you saying? It's not pedophilia if a fucking 15-year-old princess is like in a relationship with a 17-year-old prince. No, they're not. They're 20 and up. Where is this coming from? Where? Since when? I thought the princes were also minors. They just like look the way that they do. Here, Ben Shapiro acts as a manner known as ass lighting. What? Oh, are you talking about source materials? Yeah, no, man. I'm not talking about fucking source material shit. I'm talking about like the way it's presented now. Yeah, we're not talking about shit that like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, okay? Half of that stuff you can't show children anyway, bro. Like the fucking mom who cooked the son and fed it to the dad. Like that's not something you can. That's just German shit, okay? German sickos were thinking like this is a good tale to teach children, okay? That's not appropriate for children, in my opinion. Chatter's making it about something completely else to validate a schizo chatter. Yes, dude. That is the number one thing that happens on this broadcast. No matter how fucking unhinged, bro, don't talk about age gaps after yesterday's drama. See, no matter how fucking unhinged someone is in the chat, in a community like this one, you will always have enough dudes motivated to defend that point. They think it's like fun. Or they're just as Hassan, you're being cringe, bro. Stop trying to be PC clown. The only PC you will get from me is the penis cock I give your mom every fucking night. Shut the fuck up. Okay? Should have said pink cock. That would have been better. You can get 30% of chat to agree to anything? Yeah. Chatter's always so charitable towards other chatters, but not towards Hassan. Swinging a miss, bud. You'll get him next time. Dude, they can't all be fucking winners, okay?
I think that there are a lot of problems with the value system that we've been teaching our kids, as reflected by the increase in depression, suicidal ideation, and confusion in young Americans, teens and preteens. We'll get to more on this in just a second. First,
is he going to sell gold again? First, the world is ending because Disney has gay princesses and princes.
No such qualms. In fact, this is their goal. And they've openly stated everything right now. That's why one of our goals here at Daily Wire Plus is we'll do the screening for all the values of the progressive left, the transgressive left on your kids. Disney has no such qualms. In fact, this is their goal. And they've openly stated this is not by accident. They're doing this because this is part of an agenda. If you choose to back that agenda, you're a parent, you can make that choice. But you should at least be informed of the agenda before you take your kids to see stuff like this. Meanwhile, as we say, this is the most important issue on the left right now. as always, the LGBTQ agenda on a social level. This is the quote unquote new civil rights movement. This is something the left is always looking for, is the new civil rights movement. The civil rights movement was the high watermark of morality for the left. Correctly, because the civil rights movement was excellent. Okay, and then we extended the same rubric of civil rights to a bunch of things that are not the same as race. Sexuality is not the same as race. Sexual behavior is not the same as race. These things are not the same as race. We extended that rubric because, again, the left is constantly looking for what is our next civil rights battle so that we can be the moral heroes. And for them right now, it's gay marriage. So with the Democrats taking the Senate, they are now going to move ahead with a vote on a gay marriage bill. Now, what is the purpose of a gay marriage bill? There is no purpose to a gay marriage bill. Obergefell has already been ruled upon. And
yeah, like Roe v. Wade didn't just happen, bro. Look, if there was no purpose for it, you wouldn't be fucking freaking out, right? If there was no purpose for codifying gay marriage, why do you care then? You've done so many fucking videos on this. Why do you care then? If there's no purpose one way or the other, why do you care? Why have you done so many videos on this? Why have you literally fucking cried about it for the past week now, saying that Republicans are fake and phony if they vote for this? Why? Why? Because you do care. You don't want it to be codified, so it's like a matter of debate down the line, so the Supreme Court could just eviscerate it like they did and bring it back to the states' rights, which you fucking know is not democratic at all, because state legislatures does not necessarily mean the democratic states democratically associate and decide what laws to rule themselves with. Just like what's happening in Kentucky right now, where the attorney general is still, despite the fact that the state overwhelmingly voted in favor of protecting abortions in the state of Kentucky, by the way, holy shit, the attorney general has still decided to continue with criminalizing abortions. There is no states' rights in this situation. Okay? Just like the reason why the Democratic Party finally fucking landed ass backwards on a correct position this time around, because it's overwhelmingly popular, is to codify gay marriage and interracial marriage and not leave it up to the fucking Supreme Court. Jesus Christ, dude. I can't believe he would make such a major point about this. It's like such a fucking horrifically ass backwards thing to do. It's not a popular thing to criticize. It doesn't make sense that he's just like so bigoted that he's like, I don't give a fuck. Hypothetically, even if everybody hates me, I'm still going to say it. I am a homophobe. I am a racist. Hypothetically, I'm still going to stop. I'm going to try to be as vile as I possibly can.
And a simple gay marriage bill is not even a constitutional amendment. So it's not even above and beyond the Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling is still the law. If the Supreme Court ruling were overturned, a quick majority in the Senate could quickly overturn this law. Okay, but the idea here is that you're going to get all the Republicans on record.
Okay, if that doesn't work, then who cares? Like, then why are you so bent? Why are you so bent? Why are you so bent?
Whether they support or do not support same-sex marriage. Now, let me just put this out there for the Republican senators. If you vote in favor of the idea that society has an obligation to recognize male-male or female-female dyads in the same way that society has an obligation to recognize male-female, you should not be in the Republican Party. You shouldn't. Okay, the reason I say this is not because I wish to shrink the size of the Republican Party. Because if the fundamental basis of human society is male-female child, and you think that by passing a law you can change that reality, you do not belong in government.
Look how Republican senators, Daily Wire is going to get you. Dude, he's so mad. He is so bent, dude. I love that. I fucking love that. That's fire. He's so mad.
This is a very simple proposition. Men and men are not the same as a man and a woman who are capable of becoming one flesh and producing a child. This is not difficult stuff. Many Republicans will be tempted to vote for this simply to avoid the conflict so that people don't yell at them. Oh my gosh, you're not respecting love is love. Now, first of all, the love is love argument was always bullcrap. The left doesn't even believe love is love. The left has its own restrictions on what it believes is acceptable, at least for now. The left does not actually believe that all sexual relationships are perfectly equivalent. They would not presumably be in favor of brother-brother marriage. They'd not be in favor of father-daughter marriage, I would assume, for now. They're not in favor of adult-child.
He still has to sneak in the fucking incest. The incest is Wincest shit. Love that, man. That's great. Ben doesn't remember this. Oh, he remembers that. All right. One of the most powerful ratios this website has ever delivered. Masculinity and femininity exist. Outward indicators of masculinity and femininity exist in nearly every human culture. Boys are taught to be more masculine in virtually every human culture because the role of men is always the same as the role of women. Ben, you're 5'3", can't grow facial hair, and weigh 100 pounds soaking wet. If we both can be considered men, you should probably be a bit more open-minded about gender expressions. It's clearly not as rigid a binary as you try to imply it is. 3,000 likes to 142,000. That was fucking 2 years ago, man. That's crazy. The thing I do respect about Ben, though, is he does actually not block. Like he just takes it. Oh my God, it's the anniversary of this 2 years ago.
Marriage for now. Okay, but they don't even believe that quote unquote love is love. What they actually believe is that marriage should be redefined to mean whatever they believe it ought to mean, and that they get to socially engineer society along the lines of their utopian visions, in which individual sexual preference is the core of human identity, as opposed to, actual biological reality in which the most important thing that human beings do is procreate, have babies, and then live inside those relationships, bring up those kids. Now, the Republicans can pretend along with this in order to avoid controversy, but it just shows how gutless they are if they do. So what exactly will this bill do? Supposedly, it will protect all religious liberty and conscience protections available under the Constitution or federal law, including but not limited to
biological reality. Yeah. Marriage is literally the ultimate social construct. This notion that marriage has any, like, biological reality in marriage has any conversation. Like, marriage is literally it's a social construct. It's an economic construct. It is completely made up. Okay? We made that shit up. There is no marriage. There's no two-pair bonding. Some animals do it, but it's not a real thing. It's not a real concept. Like, the way that we understand marriage, the way that we design marriage is just made up. We made it up. He's literally trying to make that into a natural thing. Okay? He's trying to turn that into a natural thing when in the natural argument is a fallacy regardless, because these are all social concepts that we've built. It's a contract on top of that. But also, in the natural world, animals are gay as fuck. Like I said, they're gay as fuck. No, you're not rewatching a video that we had watched already. Ben is just repeating his arguments because he's such a fucking insane homophobe that he has to, like, make the same stupid fucking arguments over and over again.
To the Religious Freedom Restoration Act and prevents this bill from being used to diminish or repeal any such protections. It confirms that nonprofit religious organizations will not be required to provide any services, facilities, or goods for the solemnization or celebration of a marriage. It guarantees the bill may not be used to deny or alter any benefit, right, or status of an otherwise eligible person or entity, including tax-exempt status, tax treatment, contracts, agreements, etc. So it's giving basically a bunch of carve-outs to religious organizations. It makes clear the bill does not require or authorize the federal government to recognize polygamous marriages. I find that hilarious because I'm just wondering what moral basis Democrats have to declare that polygamous marriages are morally inferior to same-sex marriages. I need the actual rubric by which you say that 2 is different in kind than 3 or 4, and why that difference in kind is significantly more important than the difference in kind between male-female and male-male. The bill would also recognize the importance.
I don't know if he understands this, but, like, there's 2 in 1. And the number 2, and by the way, that is literally just a made up concept. Again, it's a made up concept. Yeah. But 2, when it's a man or a woman and a woman, okay, is different than 3. Okay. I don't know if Ben knows this or not, because he is like an English major. He got a law degree, maybe. I know he talks a lot about STEM lords, and he talks like he's the bastion of fucking logical reasoning, critical thinking, and whatnot, but maybe he doesn't know this. 2, the number 2, is not the same as the number 3. So you have one here and then another person here. And then you have an extra person here. Okay? There's a third extra person. It's kind of crazy. Weird.
Of marriage, acknowledging that diverse beliefs and the people who hold them are due respect, and affirms that couples, including same-sex and interracial couples, deserve the dignity, stability, and ongoing protection. Okay, again, the reason that they are putting interracial couples in there is because they know that everybody approves of interracial couples. And
and everybody approves of gay couples too, you fucking freak. You sick freak. That's the problem. Ben literally thinks like everybody approves of interracial couples, but not everybody approves of gay couples. Like, no, that's not true. Like, that's not true. That's not true. The only difference is like you are missing the mark. You think gay relationships or same-sex marriages are that still have like a genuine sea of support against it.
The acceptance, correctly, of interracial couples in America is at an all-time high. They're putting that in there, so if you vote against the bill, they can then claim you're a racist. It's a particularly stupid trick that they use for omnibus packages. I'll put in there.
Yeah, I mean, but that, yeah. Ben's like, we're not racist, even though we kind of are, but we're also homophobic. We're not racist, we're just homophobic.
A bunch of crap, and then they'll be like, plus funding for the police. You vote against the bill, like, you hate funding for the police. Yeah, this is the dumb game that they're playing right here. But no, actually, diverse views of marriage are not required to be upheld by the government of the United States. It turns out that words have definition. Marriage is a word with a definition. The changing definition of the word marriage cannot simply be done by rote at the top levels of government by a bunch of people who believe they are your moral betters with little to back that.
Yeah, good luck running on fucking, taking away gay marriage as a right. It's like, I don't know what to say here.
Particular assessment. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into
Okay. It's just same-sex marriage also has a 71% approval rating, by the way. Here it is. Same-sex marriage support inches up to a new high of 71%. So, remember when I said, like, we're not in 2008 anymore, and even in 2008, we weren't in 2008? Look at that. Look at that. 71 fucking percent, dude. Good luck. Good luck cutting this kind of propaganda, dude. Good luck.